Hello everyone and welcome to Coffee with the President for March. It's certainly March in Portales. The wind is blowing. Not so bad today, but we've had some pretty wild windstorms in the last couple of days. So that means spring is here and we're glad. It's warming up, it's greening up, campus is beginning to look very recognizable. And it's not just the campus that's green. The county of Roosevelt is green. In New Mexico, you know that means that our positivity rate is less than 5% and we can open businesses a little bit more and have more flexibility in how we do things around town. The positivity rate in Roosevelt County is actually under 2%, which is terrific. So this is very good news for us and very good news because we plan to be in person in fall. This is a great harbinger of the vaccine working, people staying safe, and us being in really good shape to bring all of our students back, all of our staff and faculty back for in-person fall semester. All the student events, all the athletic events, all the fine arts events, and of course in-person classes. Residence halls open, dining hall operating. So we're very excited about that. Not only that, we're very excited about an in-person commencement. Now, of course, this is all contingent upon the governor's permission and that we stay positive in the county. But we're very optimistic that that will be the case. And we are so fortunate to have that beautiful stadium. It's huge. We can space people out. We don't have to limit the number of family members that our graduates can invite, and that's just the way we want it. We're outdoors, so there's lots of fresh air. People will be masked, of course, and we'll maintain social distancing, but we just didn't want to deny students the opportunity of having that commencement experience. We all know how important that was in our lives, and we want them to have that same experience. So we're very, very happy about in-person commencement and in-person fall semester at Eastern. So what else is happening at Eastern? Well, of course the legislature is in process. My gosh, they met last night until after midnight, so they are working very hard. But the big news this week was that the governor did appoint 3 new regents for Eastern New Mexico University. And I'll tell you a little bit about them. First of all, a huge thanks to our 3 regents who are stepping down from the board. Our student regent, Joseph Gergel, who's in law school at Notre Dame, so he's probably relieved to no longer have to be a regent. Mr. Terry Othick from Albuquerque, fabulous regent, and of course served as president of the Board of Regents, runs the wonderful alumni golf tournament as well. And Mr. Ed Tatum from Clovis, who was probably our note of light-heartedness on the board, and you know you really need that sometimes for meetings. So we really appreciate them. So there are new regents. One will be, of course, a student, and she is Chandler Head. She's a vocal performance major, very talented student, came to us from Levelland High School in Texas, and now she's a confirmed New Mexican. So she is a student senator, very committed to student concerns and representing the students of Eastern to the Board of Regents and for the university. We also have 2 attendees of Eastern, Miss Trish Ruiz, who is a counselor with Hobbs Schools, a wonderful public servant, very committed to helping students, and she'll bring a wealth of information and expertise to our regents. Besides coming from Hobbs, she represents a part of the state that we have a number of students come to us from the Hobbs area, and it will be great to have someone from that particular area. Our 3rd regent is Mr. Philip Bustos. Mr. Bustos attended, as he told me, he met his wife and he attended Eastern, so that's a double plus for him. He is recently, well, not recently, about 2 years, he's retired from CNM, which is Central New Mexico Community College up in Albuquerque, and he was vice president for student affairs. So he has a huge experience with higher education, both in Texas before he was at CNM and in Colorado. So I think we have 3 excellent regents joining Dr. Dan Patterson and Mr. Lance Pyle on our Board of Regents. So we all look forward to working.
We did have a question. David Olander asked if they participate in virtual graduation in December, can they take part in graduation in the spring?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, indeed. If you would just contact the registrar, we'll try to make sure that you can get that opportunity. We do have some limits about how many students we can seat on the field, but I'm really hoping that's not going to be a problem. Do you have the contact of the registrar? Okay, E&M, your registrar? Okay, I'm sure you can figure that out. Wonderful, we'd love to have you. Any questions you have, that's what that chat function is for, so I'll try to answer every question possible. Okay, so one more thing I want you to put down on your calendars. Now, you may not think you're an opera fan, but I've got an opera that you're not going to want to miss. It's Beauty and the Beast. It's this Saturday, 11 a.m., and if you can find KENW on your FM radio dial, 89.5 in our area, but you can find KENW fairly easily, you can hear about a 35-minute performance in English of Beauty and the Beast. 2 of our students will take the main parts. That would be Beauty and the Beast. Beauty is Anna Gonzalez from Portales, and the other student performer, the Beast, is Cameron Colson from Edgewood. Cameron is our student body vice president, and they will be performing those lead roles. Dr. Travis Sherwood is the director of this. I believe the musical fingers of Dr. Gallagher will be performing as well, and this is all coordinated by Dr. Stephanie Beinleck. And I think this might change your mind about opera, and it's 35 minutes of culture, and I think we should all do this. They'll also be filming this. KENW is filming it, and they will then later broadcast when they actually did all the recording for the musical opera. So I think you'd find that really interesting as well. But tune in just to hear this. It is in English, and you know the plot, and it ends well. So you should tune in and see this and hear 2 of our really superb vocal performance majors. If you don't know where you can pick up KENW in New Mexico and West Texas, you can go to the website kenw.org/, and if you go to public-files, they'll give you all the transmitters and translators in the area, and you can find, it'll say like 91.5 in Raton or whatever, and then you'll be able to pick it up. You know, if you're in New Jersey, I'm sorry, can't help you. Wish we could. Let's see, what else is going on? Well, the Roosevelt Science Center, as you know, is being, the planning for that renovation is ongoing. Big project, big. And I think we'll be able to break ground in the summer, which is very good because it's going to take 20 months probably to do that renovation. But as I think I've mentioned before, the renovation will not require anyone to move out of the building. Well, maybe a few animals, but that's all. Because the construction will be sort of side by side, and then things will be moved over, and then demolition will occur, but all of this can happen without a major and very expensive relocation. So it's a very smart operation. I'm interested to see how that's all going to work. I know it'll be an improvement over many of the spaces in Roosevelt that just weren't being used well, couldn't be used well, didn't have power, heat, whatever it needed. So it's going to be a state-of-the-art facility, and students and staff are very excited. So look forward to showing you that soon. Maybe we could have pictures sometime and post them on the website so you can see how that construction is going. And then one other thing, we're all making lists here. What I want to do when we reopen in fall. Okay, like top of the list would be go to Einstein's and get a bagel in Golden Student Success Center, right? That's the first thing. Or you want to have dinner in the dining hall, or you're really ready to get back in face-to-face classes. You're tired of meetings by Zoom. You're tired of people telling you you're on mute, all that. You want to talk to people in person. Well, one of the faculty emailed me with a really good suggestion, and I think we ought to do it. We're going to have a sort of memorial for all the people we've lost and haven't really been able to commemorate and talk about in the past year. And we've lost some students, and we've lost some retirees, and just some really community members, very, very important to us, and we just couldn't do anything for them, couldn't do anything about that. So not all from COVID either, of course, but some from COVID or COVID related. So we'll do some sort of memorial. So last week we lost someone who's definitely going to be on that list, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about him, because I know some of you remember Dr. Bill Engman, who was Vice President for Academic Affairs here from 1982 to 1992. Now, I talk about Dr. Engman because he was also an alum. He came to Eastern from the Navy, and he was, he was the classic big man on campus. He was the quarterback of the football team and the captain of the team, and, I think he was probably homecoming king, and, the whole thing. So he does all that, graduates with his degree in education, goes off, teaches school, teaches science in Colorado and New Mexico, and then goes back to school, got his doctorate at UNM in education, and taught at Fort Lewis College. Gosh, I guess about 12 years there. Then he came home to Eastern. Originally he came as the Dean of the College of Education, and then he was appointed to be the Vice President for Academic Affairs. So I was Dean when he was Vice President. And, like most big men, he was very aware that he could be very intimidating because he was big and tall and as it turns out, I learned, very strong. And so one day I was walking in front of him through a door, and I was carrying something, and I reached to open the door. And we were in the administration building, and you know how heavy those doors are. Well, he reached over my head, and I'm 5'8", and with his wrist, he just snapped that door open like that. And the door went open like it was made of balsa wood. And I realized, this is a pretty big guy, pretty strong. You never saw that. Always gentle, always courteous, never threatening at all. Just a wonderful colleague, great mentor, excellent administrator. What was the signature of his being academic vice president? It was teaching. Not just teaching, relearning. It was a new way to approach teaching in a classroom with active learning strategies, and that was the signature of. So I thought that was a wonderful full circle. He graduates with a degree in education, then he comes back and he basically transforms Eastern classrooms. Anyone who says that we do not have a legacy of teacher education at Eastern just doesn't know these stories about these teachers, these administrators, these important people in Eastern's history. They just don't know that history. So I'm happy to remember today Dr. Engman and all he received from Eastern, and then how much he gave back. And I think that's a story we all could tell over and over again of people we know, people we went to school with, people we heard about. So kind of a sad story, but also kind of a good story, a kind of an Eastern story. So I have here, alongside coffee, of course, I have some bottles of salsa. You're probably wondering, like, when John and I are going to chug these down, but we're not going to do that. We have, some couth here. We also have a little bag of coffee. So let me tell you about two of our very best friends. So Tom Martin at Taco Box across the street is going to sponsor with us a salsa to benefit Eastern scholarship programs, and we're now asking people to contribute ideas for names for our salsa. And Landell Goolsby down at Landell's at Sweetwater, we're going to sponsor a coffee. We don't know the name yet, okay, so we just put a coffee cup on it and ENMU, but we're going to ask you to contribute some names. We have a committee working on this too, and we think this is a fun way for you to contribute to a scholarship fund and get something in return. So a % of this purchase will go to scholarships. We have wonderful people sponsoring this. Both Landell and Tom Martin are longtime supporters of the university, and we think this will be really fun. So when we launch this, we really hope you will consider trying ENMU salsa, a little ENMU coffee, and help out students at the same time you're enjoying some really good salsa. We tasted it. And some really good coffee. We brewed some, and it's pretty good. So just like to give you something along with your donation that makes you feel good about giving. So we also are looking at some wine, and we have people lining up to taste test that particular product. But we'll let you know about that. But I think the coffee and salsa, I can guarantee you will like those a lot. So I know your lives are busy, and I hope you are keeping safe, keeping distance, and just keeping that mask on, because right now it's still a really important thing. I'd like to commend our 3 athletic teams that are competing right now: baseball, softball, and track and field. They have a meet coming up. They go on they play their games, they come back, we test them, they're completely fine, no symptoms, and because they're following the rules, and good for them. So it's kind of tough getting back into the season, but I really respect them sticking to the rules and staying healthy, because we told them it's over. If you all come down with this, we're done here. So.
Did you want to mention the rodeo competition too over in Levelland this weekend?
The rodeo in Levelland, yes. Our rodeo team has also been very careful and being healthy and being safe. But yes, they are competing. We're very proud of them. We have some great students here, and our rodeo students are some of the ones we cherish the most. Farming and ranching tradition at Eastern and rodeo sort of go together, and we just wish them all the best. Some of those students, their whole family rodeo, and so they're bringing that legacy, their family legacy, to Eastern's rodeo legacy. Some of you know that at our homecoming in 1934, our first homecoming, we had a rodeo, not just a football game. My friends, we had a rodeo, and I believe the president competed in it. It's kind of an unusual. That is not going to happen, by the way. If we have a rodeo here, not going to happen. But it did in 1934, and I think that's a great signature for the university, and it's kind of why rodeo is so important to us. I really look forward when we can all get together again on this campus, that you see the beautiful rodeo facility that rodeo and its supporters have put together out at Lewis Cooper Arena. It's absolutely fantastic. It's a showpiece. We're so proud of them and the work of Albert Flynn and all of his very best friends who've helped. That's going to be a great event and venue for all of us when we're all back together again in the fall. What else is going on, John? Anything else going on?
Well, they're asking about the rodeo, I think, having another rodeo, but this is our home rodeo this weekend that we had to move to Levelland and correct, and then we're going to have another one in September at home, right?
We are. We'll go back to College Days, DAZE, in September. But when we weren't sure that the governor would allow any events in New Mexico, Texas very kindly offered to host our rodeo, and then they will move with us and bring all their people over and help us with the rodeo in September. So it'll be a very nice, I think, arrangement between those two schools. But it'll be our home rodeo, but it will be in Texas. But we'll be back in September, and I really look forward to that. I think it'll be great to get the team back in their home, in their home arena.
Touching on graduation again, at the stadium, we will be streaming it on KNW, correct? And then the other thing to mention is if you can't participate, people will be able to submit pictures again, and we'll run the photos at the end of graduation.
Absolutely. We understand that some of you are all online and students are online and don't wish to travel to New Mexico. That's fine. If they send their picture, we can show it on the Jumbotron, and it'll be just as though you're there. And then, of course, that will be live streamed by KENW, so you'll be able to see it on our webcast or on KENW itself. So, all of this information will be coming to you, too. You don't have to be taking notes, but we do want all of the graduates to know that we know you want this, and we want you to have it. And we're going to make it just as easy as we can for you and your family to participate in person or virtually, whichever works for you. But we couldn't do this without KENW, and we couldn't do it without a stadium, an outdoor stadium, that really makes this safe. We can distance, and we can really make it a beautiful event, I think. So, and that's our goal.
Do we have a commencement speaker lined up yet?
Well, I will know that commencement speaker probably next week. We are going with student speakers this year. We have been doing that during our virtuals, and I think that will be our plan again, but I will know from Student Senate next week. We did have a potential speaker, but the travel in New Mexico is still a little limited, and I think some people are a little anxious about traveling in May. But next year, I'm sure we'll have our regular commencement speakers. But our students are great speakers, and we love hearing their stories and what they have to tell their fellow graduates. And I think in some ways it's a very Eastern thing to have student speakers. So I look forward to the recommendation that will be coming out of Student Senate next week. And then the commencement committee will just pounce on that and put the remaining pieces together. There are lots of little pieces about moving an event from Greyhound Arena to a stadium. I mean, 2 words, AstroTurf. Oh wait, maybe that's 1 word. But you have to protect AstroTurf. You can't just walk on it in high heels. So we have certain things that we have to arrange. I should also say that Portales High School is over the moon because we're going to allow them to graduate at Greyhound Stadium as well. They're later in May, but they are really thrilled because they don't have a facility that would accommodate their numbers of students. They would have to do a drive. I'm sorry, drive-by doesn't sound right, but drive-through also doesn't sound right. But they would drive up and get their diplomas, and they did that last time, and they're just really looking forward to having a more in-person experience. So, and we are looking forward to it as well.
We have Sophia Valdez, I can't pronounce her last name, I apologize, basically asking if there's any plans to bring back the Family and Consumer Science program to Eastern.
Well, I'd probably have to ask Dr. Lorenz about that. I know that they are doing some reviews of programs and strengthening some, and I'm sure there's some discussion about it, but I can find out. And if you will drop me an email, then I can get back to you about that, okay? My email is Patrice, Patrice, Caldwell, Caldwell, at enmu.edu, or just go to enu.president@enmu.edu, and I will get your email and I will find out for you. Thank you for asking. That was a great program back in the day, huh? I think John has a little partiality to that particular major.
My wife is a graduate of that program, so yeah.
Jackie's a graduate, yes.
Yeah. That's all the questions we have from everybody, so.
Good. Well, we're so glad you joined, and hope you have a really lovely spring. I think it's spring next week. Remember, fall, we're open. We want you to come. We want you to stay connected. Think about homecoming. We'll do some virtual events, but we'll also have an in-person homecoming, so we're really looking forward to that. And, of course, welcoming back all those students. Meanwhile, stay safe. Let's keep the county and the state of New Mexico green. It's not just the color of chili. It's the color of health, and that's what we want to do. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next month.